In this video, we are going to go over the Math Clock app that Bridges has available, and we are going to open it right in our Chrome browser. And I think this is one of their newer apps because I did not have this available in third grade, and I wish I had. It is really cool. So you start off in this app with really just a blank space to start working. And down here, and they kind of have it sticking up a little bit so it's easier to see, but you have a few different options of clocks that you can add. So your first option is a clock with geared hands. And I'm going to move this so that it's easier to see. And what's really cool about this clock is just like the big yellow Judy clocks that we would use in our classroom, this has gears in it. So as you move the minute hand, that hour hand is moving as well. So you'll notice as I start moving this hour, the minute hand around my clock, my hour hand is creeping closer to 1 o'clock. I really wish I had this in third grade. This is super cool. So you can see that. And great for students to be able to practice with this too, so that they can see how those hands connect with each other. So I am going to show you a different clock. So I'm going to get rid of this one. I just clicked on it and I'm going to come down here to my trash can. My next clock is one with free moving hands. This is more typical of the clocks that we give our students without the gears, where they have to put the hour hand and the minute hand in the correct places. So if my time were going to be 3:30, I have to move my my minute hand, and then I would have to move my hour hand to the correct spot. Then let's take a look at the last clock. We have a clock with fractions. So you tell the clock how many parts. So if you're learning about quarters, you could tell it that you want it to have 4 parts. It's going to split that clock and give you the lines. I believe there are some lessons up in, I can't remember if it's third or fourth grade, where you're learning fractions with the clock. All right, let's bring back our clock with the gears and go over some of the other really cool features that we have here. So here you can label the hands, the hour hand and the minute hand. This is always great for our younger students who have a hard time remembering in the beginning the difference between the two. You can label the minutes on the outside, the fives, to teach students as they're learning to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes. You can get rid of that. Roman numerals, no hours. You can just have the hour hand on. You can just have the minute hand on. So just different things that you can do with that clock based on your needs. You can add a digital clock to go along with your analog clock. And as you are moving your hands with this geared clock, you're going to notice that my digital clock is also changing time. I have a run and a jump, so I can tell it to jump ahead 5 minutes or to go back 5 minutes. The run would be, if you just click the play button, it's just going to run that second hand around. And so the kids can see in real time how that clock works. We'll stop that. We'll go back to jump. Now, if I want to get rid of this, I just click on it and I click that trash can. It all goes away. Bring back that geared clock. All right. So this is really cool. This is elapsed time. So this is typically a very tricky concept I've found for students as they're beginning this journey of telling time. But what students do is they can start by putting their hands on the clock at whatever time. So let's say they start at 12:30. So they get that going. They click the check mark to say that's my starting time. Now they can go backwards, because sometimes we ask kids, we say they finished at what time did they start, or how long. We can go forward. So we started an activity at such and such time and we ended at such and such time, or it took us so many minutes. And so kids can now see the elapsed time. If students are working in parts, so our first clock where we talked about dividing the clock into parts, you noticed it didn't have any hands. This clock does. So you can split it into the quarters with the hands, especially if you're teaching like quarter past, quarter tell, things like that. Here, it allows you to add some color. To be honest with you, I'm not sure why you'd want to add color beyond maybe just making it stand out. You have, I'm going to get rid of, okay, so something I just figured out, I have not clicked on the clock, and so many of these options are gone for me. So if that fractions on my clock, I can't click right now, click the clock, then you can undo it. And I'm going to say no parts right now. You have this really cool shade. So if I click that, it's going to bring a shade up onto my screen. So if I didn't want kids to see the clock quite yet, I could cover it up. I can click the I to show the clock when I'm ready, and I can click the I to cover it back up again, and I can click the X to get rid of the shade. I have something that allows me to write equations. I can type in text. I can use my marker to write. So maybe I need to know what time it is. The kids can just write right on the screen that it is 12:55. Here, this option here just allows you to duplicate the clock that you have clicked. You can get rid of the clock. And then this app also allows you to share your work. So if you've given students problems to do, a quick assessment, I think about this with how many assessments have I given them from Bridges where they're required to draw the hands on the clock. And it is so incredibly difficult for third graders to draw hands on clocks that this would be such a great way for them to be able to show time on an analog clock. That might be less frustrating than having to draw those lines, and their short lines look the same as their long lines. And so I just think about the benefits that this would be for some of our students. So they click this share button right down here. It's a little box with the arrow. They can save the image to their Chromebook and then upload it into Google Classroom, or they can just copy this link and share the link that way with you. So some really great features here for telling time. When they're all done with their screen and they want to start again, they can just click this refresh and clear all of the work. So that is how students use the clock app in Bridges.